Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. So amidst the budget disagreements, yes, the Chinese negotiations going on. But Mr. Dapo Oyewunmi joins us now. He's the CEO, Center for Business Law. Thank you for coming on this morning. Center for Law and Business. Yes. Beg your pardon. Good to have you again this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, this trip, that it turns out that it's not even 2 billion. Because we spoke to Gabasho yesterday thinking, well, the country has this impression of 2 billion. Where's that coming from? Says no,
6 billion.
No such thing. Now we see 6 billion and several others denominating our currency.
Floating the
yuan. What do you see about this?
Well, I think it's a positive step because China has become a country to be reckoned with. The days of the communist Cold War is over. Even the American government has relationships with China. It's a major country in the world, expected to be a superpower very soon. And the economy is large, extremely large. America is the largest exporter of agri products to China as we speak now. Chinese investment in America is very large. The Chinese currency is being floated, even in the Western world. Then what are we got to say? It's a positive step. And again, you need to look at things in perspective. The Nigerian-Chinese relationship has just not started. It started a long time ago, even during the military era, when the Chinese government, because it was communist, was being isolated by the Western world, and the Nigerian government, because it was military, was also isolated. So it was a case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the Chinese government and the Nigerian government started to move closely towards one another. So from there on, trade began to expand. An MOU was signed. The previous Chinese president visited Nigeria twice, I think in 2003 and 2005 or so, addressed the National Assembly. They've been helping us with Boko Haram. They launched our satellite into space. And there's been a lot of collaboration.
That should also be part of the discussions
going on now. Yes, aerospace is one of the issues that's been discussed. Then importantly, the Chinese government has been a strong supporter of Nigeria for the United Nations permanent seat on the Security Council. So this shows that this relationship has been going on for a long time, maybe not as overtly as it is now. Again, the awareness is also as a result of the media as it is now. In those days, the media wasn't this strong. You didn't get news 24 hours. You've got you guys, we've got CNN, you've got the social media, YouTube. So there's a lot of awareness of what's going on now. So perhaps people didn't know that this relationship has been a long-standing relationship that has been building over the years and has now reached the stage where the present administration is taking it forward. As far back as about 2011, there are over 40 direct Chinese development projects in Nigeria. The airport, Abuja housing, Abuja water, 2.5 billion railways, all of that has been going on for several years now. And I think this is a good step. We need the funding. And with the agreement signed by the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, we're going to be sourcing very cheap funds. It's one of the cheapest sources of funding in the world today.
And that's a good rate as well.
Yeah, that's why I mean cheapest, because the rate is good. It's not as expensive as borrowing from the other sources, especially in the Western world. So the only thing we're going to be asking is that these funds be judiciously used for the purpose for which they were obtained. We don't want funds being borrowed and diverted to other projects or put in people's pockets. We know the present administration is unlikely to do that. However, we should also realize that, yes, at the top, with the president, with the vice president, with the crop of ministers that he has now, there is rectitude There's a mission to do things properly. And you wouldn't expect any of them to begin to put monies in their pockets. However, beyond that level, are we sure? The civil service, have they changed their ways? The other people around already in the public, a lot of people are beginning to say, oh, give us back corruption. At least when we had corruption, we had money flowed around. So those are the kind of issues we need to be careful. We have to understand that when things get bad, it takes a longer time for it to be rebuilt. If we, just an example, if a fire is put to that thing there now for just 2 minutes, to put it back will take hours, will take money and all that. So I think the populace need to understand where we are on this economy.
Staying with issues about the relationship with China,
yes.
Yeah, as you said, this is commendable.
Yes.
But the trade imbalance, as the president put it, 80% Chinese exports and coming into Nigeria,
yeah.
and the quality of what is brought into Nigeria. He even says, don't make Nigeria a dumping ground.
Yeah.
How can that be rectified? He's called on the investors, both the Nigerian community and the Chinese investors, to correct that imbalance.
Yeah.
How do you think that would work?
Well, I think the first step is the president mentioning it and bringing it to the consciousness of everybody, both the Chinese government and the Nigerian government and the businessmen. There's a Nigeria-Chinese forum, and in Nigeria itself, there's a Nigeria-Chinese Business Council. It is the duties of these people to begin to see that things are done. And again, for the Nigerian economy, when the economy begins to grow and we have more exportable goods, because this is a matter of exports really. If you can't export to another country and you keep importing, there's bound to be a trade imbalance.
But what about the quality of what is brought in?
Yes, that also is a major issue. However, it is said that some of the products, especially for drugs, it's the Nigerian businessmen that say, please reduce the quantity of that component, reduce this and reduce that, because of the money they want to make. So we have to look at
our standards.
It is, yes. So we are, and there's the Standards Organization of Nigeria. They have to be alive to their responsibilities. The customs do inspect these products. So it's a holistic approach. I think in all issues concerning this country, while the leadership will provide leadership, the followers too, the followership, the people also need to reorientate themselves and be on the same page with the leadership and the followership and the leadership, and so that we can all achieve the same purpose. If the leaders are going in this direction and the followers are going in the other direction, it won't work.
You know, talking about the followers, I see some form of similarities between the Chinese